But if you want to learn stuff, you need to learn from somebody who knows what they're doing and who has your best interest at heart. And so, that's the type of thing I look for in mentors is the integrity of the person, what they're actually doing.
This is Property Invest Story, where we talk to successful property investors to find out more about their stories, mindset, and strategies. I'm Taran Shum, and in this episode, we'll continue the conversation with the author of The Property Investing Formula, Jennie Brown, who will reveal her subdivision strategy for strata titling. You'll also uncover her reasons for avoiding negative geared property investments and the best advice she can give to you to help you succeed in your journey. For Brown, ignorance was bliss in property investing. The more you know, the more you fear.
Probably not, because I didn't know that something should hold me back. But I would say that probably the more knowledge I got, in some ways, the more it probably made me hold back a bit, or just be more careful. I don't even know how to phrase that. More risk averse. So I was more aware of the risks. In some ways, I think not having any, fears or whatever is good, because you don't really realize what you don't know and you just go and do it. But I've seen so many people do that and not get educated about property and really, really hurt themselves financially, emotionally, particularly, hurt their families or whatever. So it's kind of a bit of a twixt and a tween. But for me, initially, I really did not know.
From this initial ignorance, she discovered that mindset is the next biggest killer of people's property investment dreams.
And the other thing is, after teaching property, I went and taught mindset, because I realized that learning about property was all well and good, but people would come to my seminars and they go home, they do nothing. But when I started to teach mindset, they were more likely to do something, because property is all about mindset. It's not about the strategy. The strategies, I could teach you the strategies and you would know them, but it's up to you whether you do something about it, and that's the mindset. And that's what people need to delve into it. But one of the things I teach, and one of the things I learned really early on, is that people rarely change unless there's pain. And it's really sad that most of us wait till there's a crisis point or a pain point to actually really examine our life and change. We get very apathetic. We get very, well, this is how it is, or we're taught that this is how it is by society, and we don't question it. We don't question enough. And there's always a tipping point where the pain of being where you are becomes too great, and then you'll move into something else. And I think that is probably the thing I've learned the most about my life experience and my mindset, is not to wait till those crises come along and tip it over. But having no fear is good. And it's important not to have fear. One of the ways to have no fear is to get education. But education can also put you into fear. So you've got to be very careful where you go with it all.
So education is not the end-all or be-all of property investing. Without a drive, without ambition, without the right mindset, your property investment journey will never begin. So Brown's mission is to get people to kickstart their mindset.
Well, when you look at anything, and this is what I was discovering, as I said, with my property investing seminars, because I started to teach property investing. And, most of the people in the room would be like rah-rahed up and everything, and it'd be great. And I'd be like, I've given them everything I've got. I've given them the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, down to Z, and then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, and all the rest of it, how to do a subdivision, or how to do a strata title, or how to do this, strategy. And I would do it all in this weekend, and they go out and do nothing with it. And sometimes, months later, I get a call and they say, oh, I went and did a negative gearing or whatever, and now I'm in trouble, and can you help me? And I'm kind of like, well, you came to my seminar and I was very clear that isn't going to make you money, and these are the reasons why.
And it's not just in property investing that mindset is key to success. In order to overcome the hardships of life, we all need a good mindset to make us power on.
I really believe that I was probably very fortunate, because I grew up with a father who said, you can do anything you want to do, that I had it, but didn't realize that's what it was. That's what took me through the marriage breakup and all that type of thing that I talked about in the last podcast. But the big thing with everything is you've got to have a goal. And that's what keeps you going. And you've got to have another goal before you start, before you end a goal. So, if you've got something happening and it's big, before you finish that thing and achieve it, you must have something else to take you past it. Because if you don't have hope. And so, when I look at teaching mindset, these are the types of things I teach is, how to write really empowering goals, how to work out what your goals actually are, because a lot of people don't even know what their goals are. And the other thing that most people I find in life, like if I ask a room full of people if they know what their purpose in life is, I might get one person put their hand up. In a room of, say, 20 or 30 or 40. In 50, I might get two. In 100, I might get 3 or 4 if I'm lucky. And I find that really, really, really sad, because for me, purpose is what gets you out of bed every morning when things are not going right. It's what gets you up, and it's what gets you going, and it's what makes you think, how do I solve this problem, and what's the solution to this, and how do I get out of this situation, and how do I make the most of this, and wow, is this a good opportunity for me, or is it just a bit that's glittering and I need to stop being distracted by it.
Having goals without any purpose is a fast track to nowhere, which is why Brown warns against over-educating yourself with seminars and forgetting why you want to learn about property investing.
And I find that, people jump from thing to thing to thing to thing because they don't have purpose and they don't have goals. And so they're distracted by all these glittering, shiny objects. And you see that in the seminar industry. I'm friends with a lot of seminar speakers, and, I'd go to their seminar and speak for them or whatever on mindset, for example, and I'd see the same people in the room that had been in my seminar 5 weeks earlier. And I know that they've been to someone else's seminar because, I've seen them on that list, or someone I know went to that seminar with them. And I know that these people are going from seminar to seminar to seminar. Well, the reality is that's not going to help you. You need to get off your backside and actually put the knowledge that you put into place. And the reason that they're not doing that is generally because, one, they don't know what it is that they're looking for. So they don't know what their purpose in life is, and they don't know what the end goal is. And so how can you ever, it's kind of like getting in the car and going, well, I want to go to, I don't know where I want to go, so I'm just going to drive.
As Brown Succinctly puts it, you can never start a journey without a destination in mind. So why should your property investment journey be any different?
If you decide you want to travel, you just don't go, oh, well, I want to travel. You go and get a passport and you save up some money, or you decide what your destination. Or you might want to do a mystery trip, but you're still making a decision that you want to go somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Once you have your purpose, you should set yourself the goals that you need to complete your ambitions. No general ideas here, only solid step-by-step plans work with property.
And then you take the steps to go to that destination. Even if it's a mystery trip, you still have a destination in mind. I find most people start property investing with no destination in mind. And so the first seminar they go to, which is often a negative gearing seminar, which, by the way, I'm adamantly against, because it doesn't help people to make money in property. I don't care what they say. I've helped so many people who have been desperately financially ruined by negative gearing. But people want to invest in property to make money, but they don't actually know how to assess that, even because they haven't even decided that. But more importantly, here's where purpose comes into it. It's not about making money. It's about what that money can do for you. And, so it's about lifestyle, but it's even more than that. For me, it's about philanthropy. How can I help the world? How can I make the world a better place? How can I change? How can I facilitate change that's positive and all the rest of it? And sometimes that means you've got to stand up and do things, and say, this isn't acceptable, and that's tough love and all the rest of it. But the thing is, I know my purpose, and I know where I'm headed, and I know what my goals are. And so each day I can get up and I can look at something and I go, well, that's not in alignment with my purpose, so I don't want to get distracted by that. Or, that's not a goal of mine. So that's your goal. You go right ahead, and I'm happy to say well done and all the rest of it. But I'm not going to get distracted by going on your journey. I'm going to stay on mine.
Brown's overall purpose in teaching property investment is to make people realise and stick to their own goals.
I think that's so important, and that's what I teach. I work with people so that they can get their purpose, or at least start to find out what it is. Sometimes it takes a long time. I was talking to a girl yesterday who came to one of my, I used to do these mindset mastery courses, and we worked on purpose, and she left her with an idea but never really landed on it. And it was really unusual because pretty much everyone would have a really good idea, but she said to me last weekend she finally got it, what her purpose is. And it was just like bang, but she started the journey, and that's important. And that's what I teach, and what, as you can hear, very passionate about.
It's revelation stories like these that drive Brown herself to complete her own goals in property investing. Seeing people realize their purpose and skillfully make their way towards achieving that purpose.
Helping people find that, because when they find that, everything else falls into place. But purpose and goals and things, you got to have more than you just want to make money. It's got to be, what are you going to do with that money? How are you going to make a change and a difference? So important.
For Brown, knowing why you want to invest in property and what you want to get out of your property investment is critical to your success. And the most successful investors want a way of life out of their property investment journey, not a number of dollars in the bank account.
People say, oh, your purpose changes. No, it doesn't. The tools you use to get to your purpose may change. For example, I write books, I mentor people, I do public speaking, all that type of stuff. I do a lot of philanthropy, but it all aligns up with my purpose. And because I'm so clear on that purpose, I don't get distracted by other people's purposes or goals or intentions or whatever. Yeah. But to take this back to property, right? I see so many people, they put the cart before the horse, and you have to put the horse first. The horse leads, the cart. The cart does not go first. But they just go, oh, I want to invest in property, and they don't know why they want to invest in property. They don't have a goal, of I want to make X amount of dollars, or I want to do this type of strategy, or, the strategy, the goal is yours, it's personal, but they don't even have that. And then, if they have a goal of making money and their purpose in life is to give, they're going to find that hard to reconcile unless they're making money to give it away. But they've got to know their purpose to be able to reconcile that. And it's so important that you, at least before you start investing, decide what it is you want out of investing. You have to decide that. Otherwise, it's just going to be, and, things go wrong. It's the same thing, because things go wrong. They do go wrong. You got to be able to get out of the bed in the morning and go, well, I'm not just going to throw my hands in the air and go bankrupt and upset all these people. You get up and you say, I've got a problem here. I need to solve this because it's important to me and who I am, and I need to live with myself.
All in all for Brown, once you start actively solving the issues that property investing entails.
And that's when you know your purpose and your goals, man. You just go for it.
After the break, we'll dive into the nuts and bolts of Brown's strata titling strategy.
I did a strata title up in Bowen. It was 3 blocks. And I can't remember exactly the numbers off the top of my head now, but I walked away with a 67% profit on the money that I had put into it.
You also learned where to find her book.
I wrote a book called The Property Investing Formula, and I ended up co-authoring it with Young New, and I brought him on board. And
the mindfulness habit that can help structure your day.
I think it's really important to set your day up. So for me, that's I'm a Christian, so meditation, some scripture.
And that's next. I'm Tyron Shum, and you're listening to Property Investory. For Brown, she attributes a lot of her success to having mentors along her property investing journey.
If you want to do something well, you find somebody who's doing it and be prepared to pay them to mentor you. If you don't pay, you basically get nothing. Here's the thing, Tyron, I was so fortunate because I have my dad. And, I just had my dad. Even my dad passed away 10 or 11 years ago. And even when he was ill and, in bed and bedridden, I would lie on the bed with him, and I remember one time a storm went through Mount Isa, and we have property in Mount Isa, and here I am on the bed, and I'm talking to him about this tree that's fallen on our property in Mount Isa, and I'm helping him with the subdivision he was doing. He was doing a 2 into 3, and we're lying on the bed doing this. So right up until he died, we were doing property together. And then he passed away, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, who do I bounce all this stuff off with, And it wasn't that we knew everything. We didn't. We still don't. We never will, But it was just having somebody who had knowledge and who do you know that does this and what do you do? And, we'd done a few things together and things like that. And my dad was just about to retire or he had just retired when he got sick. And, we were wanting to do projects together and things like that. And that never eventuated. But, that was my mentor. And all of a sudden, it went, and I started looking for mentors, and so that's when I found the seminar world. And so I would go to seminars, and I remember sitting through one where every second word was a swear word, and I don't swear. It's my choice not to swear. I don't like it. I don't think it's necessary from a stage at all. And I was embarrassed because I took a young 18-year-old young man who was interested in investing in property, and I was just squirming inside, because this wasn't the type of environment I wanted him in. And, then I'd go to something else and I'd listen to stuff. And, I went to so many seminars, and what I worked out in those seminars, I would sit there, and because I had years of experience and I'd made a lot of money, I'd sit there and I'd go, this strategy is actually going to send these people broke. The only person making money out of this is the person standing up on that stage. And it's not ethical. Do you know what I mean? And I ended up getting so annoyed about it that, I found a few people that were pretty good and all the rest of it. But I had my arm twisted very severely because here's the other thing. I didn't know what I had or what knowledge I had. But I was really getting frustrated by it. And then someone asked me if I would step on their stage and explain a deal I was doing. And it was a pretty big deal. And, it had a lot of profit in it. And I always look at percentage profit as well as dollar profit, right? So that's one of the things I was teaching. So I stood on this stage after months of them trying to convince me to share this deal because I was like, well, what do I have to tell all these property investors? There were about 300 people in the room, and I watched them get it. And afterwards, people came up and were like, oh, you're like us, and so if you can do it, we can do it. And I gave people hope. And I went, man, these promoters just got paid thousands of dollars for all these people to be in the room. I came in as a guest speaker. I didn't even get paid. Didn't even know back then that you could get paid. And and I've just made them look good. And so I went, I'm just going to teach this myself. And that's what I did. I started my own property investing journey. So to go back to your question about mentoring, what I look for is people who have ethics and integrity and work similarly to me. And so these days, pretty much the only person I recommend, because I don't teach property anymore, is Young Nguyen, because I've watched Young for years. I've co-written a book with him. And, I've seen his results, and I know that he's current in the marketplace, which a lot of seminar speakers aren't. And so, and I know he's not for everybody, just like I'm not for everybody. But if you want to learn stuff, you need to learn from somebody who knows what they're doing and who has your best interest at heart. And so, that's the type of thing I look for in mentors is the integrity of the person, what they're actually doing. With the mindset, probably Brian Tracy has been one of my most influential mentors. It was really funny. I started teaching mindset, and someone said to me, have you read this book? And I went, no, who's that? And it was Brian Tracy. Anyway, I went and read the book, and it was like reading my own material. And I ended up becoming friends and being mentored by Brian for speaking. But I learned so much about mindset from him as well. But I read books, I put it into practice, I, experimented with myself, I taught it to people, and teaching is one of the best ways to learn stuff. Even my conversation with you today has reminded me that I need to go and reassess a couple of goals that I've got. So it's so important, to do that. So I think it's important to be mentored, but also to mentor, because you learn from both sides of it.
Brown shares one of her most successful strategies and how it helped her achieve her dreams of financial freedom.
Probably one of the most successful strategies I've ever done is strata titling. So it's a lot harder to do these days, and the money probably isn't in it as much, but it's certainly worth knowing about it. And you can apply the philosophy to a number of things. I mentioned splitter blocks was one of the first strategies, and that's a form of strata titling in that there's two blocks already, but they're on one title. A block of flats that has not been separated into separate titles. What I would do is go and buy a block of flats. And the really great thing about this is that there would be tenants in all of the flats. So let's say I bought a block of 3, you'd have income coming in. And whilst it wouldn't probably be positive because, very few things are positive geared, and this is the one time that negative gearing I say is helpful, okay?
Okay.
But you would still be getting income. So that would be paying for the deal if you were financing the deal. And then what I would do is strata title those units individually so I could sell them off individually, and that would make their value more. And it's the same with the land. If you, get a splitter block and you've got them all and then or even subdivision, it's probably the same philosophy. But you just got to look for these opportunities. So I bought a lot of, well, not a lot, but, it was one of the things I really enjoyed was the strata title. The good thing about strata title is that there's not a lot of work in it. The renos, when I first started doing renos, I'd do them myself because I could. And, obviously my time on the site meant that I wasn't paying someone else. But these days I would pay people to do the renos if I was doing renos. But the strata title, you don't have to physically be there. I did a strata title up in Bowen. It was 3 blocks. And I can't remember exactly the numbers off the top of my head now, but I walked away with a 67% profit on the money that I had put into it. It's like, that's insane, but it was good. And I worked out I had spent less than 40 hours on it over a 6-month period. And to me, I don't know about you, but, time is money. And when you're investing in property to make money, you also, you want to get a good return on your time. That's important.
Definitely.
So, you're investing time, so you want to get a good time return. So I look at things like that. And obviously, with everything you do, you want to invest the least amount of time, the least amount of money for the largest amount of return. And so for me, those types of strategies were really, really great. And, I've looked at tons of blocks of units. I still look at them. I still have a real estate alert set up every week for blocks of units in the Brisbane area, but the returns are not as good because people got on. It's like the splitter box. People got on board. The owners realised the value in there and they started to take the value. So it's not as good, but it's certainly a strategy that has been one of my favourites and well worth my while.
Brown also wrote and co-authored a book that shares all the strategies we discussed in detail.
I wrote a book called The Property Investing Formula, and I ended up co-authoring it with Nyang New, and I brought him on board with it because Nyang has experience in a couple of areas that was more relevant, or he had better, examples and more recent experience. So we co-wrote that book together. So it's called The Property Investing Formula. And I believe we still have a website where you can go buy it, but it's on Amazon.
Oh, excellent.
And you can even order it from bookstores. It was really great. I was offered a book deal. A distributor picked us up. I didn't even go looking for it. And so you can buy it from bookstores as well. But I think you go to the propertyinvestingformula.com.au or something like that, and you can buy it there. Maybe, I don't know. I can't remember because it's been a while. But if you want to just get in touch with one of us, and you'll find it. But you can just Google it, and it'll come up on Amazon.
When it comes to personal habits, Brown turns to the Bible for meditation and later reveals goal setting as another key habit for her.
I think it's really important to set your day up. So for me, that's I'm a Christian, so meditation, some scripture, Bible reading, prayer, that type of thing. But it's as much about the rest and the time out and letting your mind just have that space. I think that's really important. If I ever start to feel overwhelmed, I just take time out, which sounds like a total opposite, but I'll do 10 or 15 minutes of just sitting with not. I'll focus on something. That's the other thing. You never empty your mind because then thoughts just come in everywhere. Focus on something and then you'll find that the solutions will start to appear. The second habit is write your goals. Write your goals. I recommend you write your goals twice a day. But you need to have them with you all the time and just be staying focused on them and what is the most important thing, right? Go after that. And that to me is one of the most important habits.
If you like hearing this podcast about Brown's story, strategy, and mindset, and want to learn more from her, you can pick up her book, The Property Investing Formula, or you can connect with her.
Probably the easiest way is to send an email to us. The email address is Jennie with an IE, so it's JENNIE at jenniebrown.com.au, and the Jennie Brown is one word, lowercase JENNIEBROWN.com.au. I know that IE is a bit confusing, but if you don't put the IE in there, we don't get it. So yes, it's important.
Definitely.
Jennie at jenniebrown.com.au. Thank you, Tyrone. I would like to wish your listeners all the best. Go do it, because, you know, it gives you the ability to design your own lifestyle, and that is just a real blessing in this day and age.
Thank you to Jennie Brown, our guest today at Property Invest Story. In this episode, we went behind the scenes of her property investing story and discovered the inner workings of her strata titling strategy. If you want to hear more about Brown's journey, where she discovered her aptitude for property investment and created her idyllic lifestyle in Queensland through the flexibility of property investing, then visit our website at propertyinvestory.com. Simply type in the search bar Jennie Brown and select that episode to learn more about her story.